Hello, and thank you so very much for joining me here for this video. This is going to be a little catch-up chat. I'm just going to share some personal catch up with you in a friendly way. So have a beverage or make sure you're hydrated and we'll just like catch up a little. Maybe you're gonna do your dishes or just like a voice in the background. But we're gonna have a little friendly catch up in this video. We're gonna talk about the recent astrology season, and not too in depth into astrology, but just the fact that like we've really started a new turn of the wheel here. And then we're gonna get into a tarot reading based off of this like turn of the wheel, this Aries season. Now, I know before I get too far ahead of myself, I realize that Aries season is over. We're actually in Taurus season right now, which is maybe why I'm inspired to create this in my bedroom. But I'm playing a little catch up. I actually had my tarot, this video filmed already, but to be perfectly candid, like I was rushing it. Like I wasn't intentionally rushing it, but looking back, I can see like I was kind of rushed, you know, like I was trying to get a lot done before I took a trip. And I didn't like it. You know what I mean? I didn't like it. So even though I don't want to put things out too late, I also would rather put out something that felt more meaningful, more kind of just calm and natural. I have finally begun to like see myself as a creator, right? Like I make these videos, I make these sessions, and there's a huge element there of, you know, balancing the fact that like you need to show up, right? Like I really feel like part of the task is just to show up, you know? You can, you know, in reality, you know, like with how you are in that moment. And at the same time, I think I want to show up with like being calm, being well rested, you know, like being refreshed. And so even though I'm sorry to have to scrap that video, I'm happy because I don't mind personally the hindsight tarot readings. I don't mind the like what has happened and now let's move forward style of tarot reading. I think it can be really powerful. So maybe it was just meant to be. Now these reading videos are certainly not what's like most popular on my channel. I like to do this because I like to do this. Like I like to do it for myself personally. I like to watch videos like this sometimes. And I just feel like for the people who it does resonate with, or, you know, that do enjoy these, it's just like a nice chance for me to kind of be, I don't want to say more myself, because my other videos are certainly me, but they're me trying to be very calm. They're me with, you know, better lighting. They're me with like a intentional sort of theme or something, where here I feel like I can be much more myself, as in like you're seeing more of me. Like we can talk about more things. I can catch you up on stuff where like I'm not probably going to do that too much in like my typical videos, right? So that said, let me just get into a few details and then we'll move on to a little catch up. But of course, like I'm just so grateful for you to be here. You've helped me build this channel. You've helped me truly like change my life. I started this channel just because I felt like I needed to, as in I felt like I had something to share. I felt like I had something I wanted to create, to put out there, and if it helped one person, it was worth it. It was worth me facing my fears of being seen. It was worth, you know, all the time investment, everything. But to get to a point where like this has become my actual job, this pays my bills, this helps me like live my life, and I couldn't do that without you. And I want to express my gratitude to you 5,000 times a day. Like I'm just so grateful for all that this community has given me, you know, and allowed me to share my thoughts and these intentions and all this. It's all this stuff. It's just like really meaningful. I just want to have a heartfelt thank you for just being here. You being here, watching this video supports me. You engaging with this video supports me even more. And for those who take it further and, you know, like are able to, and I'm not trying to put pressure, but I just want to say thanks. People who support the channel on either Patreon or YouTube members, thank you so much. If you've bought my book, thank you so much. If you used to buy necklaces from me in the past or candles when I was doing that, thank you so much. If I've been lucky enough to have a one-to-one session with you, you know, I've started that up again. I'm loving it. It's just so amazing. Thank you so much. If you take Reiki classes with me, just thank you. Like, thank you for all the support. I'm kind of putting my feelers out. What's the best way to say that? I'm open to shifting slightly and moving and opening new doors, let's say, for different forms of content to share with you. So I'm just like, I just feel really creative right now. I feel really deeply grateful for, getting to, let's say, like this position or this, I'm trying to use my words carefully because I almost want to say like validation, like it's unfortunate, but it's so true. It's unfortunate in a way if we look at it that way, but it's also a blessing in a way if we look at it that way type thing, to be validated by an audience, as in to have something that I feel called from my heart to share and then it resonates with someone. Like that's what I mean by validated, not like you give me permission necessarily, but this like, that was meant for me, like, oh, that thing you said, like, I can't believe you said that, that was meant for me. I needed to hear that right now, or whatever the case may be. It's just like such a powerful way of connecting, even in a way that like we don't really know each other, right? So it just blows my mind. I just want to say thank you. I'm kind of rambling. I just want to say thank you. You've changed my life and I'm so grateful to you. And I hope to have more offerings for you, and I'm just playing with that right now and letting things unfold. So all that said, I'm going to take a little moment before we get into the astrology reflections and the tarot itself, and just kind of catch you up on my personal life a little bit. I like to do that with you in these videos because I think it's, I don't know, just like a nice time where I can be a bit more candid. I just got back from a trip. My husband and I went to Grenada, beautiful island in the Caribbean. We had such a great time. It's our second time going there, and we stay in a beautiful house overlooking the ocean, like infinity pool, like all the things you think of when you think of paradise. That's what we were dealing with. It was so lovely and so fun. And like I said, we've been there before. We went before we got married, and then we went now after we've been married for a little over a year. So this feels like a second honeymoon, even though the first time wasn't a honeymoon because we hadn't been married yet. It really feels like this sort of second honeymoon, and this, I just feel really revitalized, and I'm trying to find the words here, but to be able to disconnect for a week is so so incredibly necessary / healing / resetting / activating, like all of the stuff. We got there on the night of the full moon in Libra, and we got to like go in the pool in the moonlight and like like it was just so sweet and so special. And we have so much fun when we go. It's definitely like more of like an adult trip for us, as in like we're there to spend time with each other. We're there to kind of turn off our phones and really spend time with each other and just bond and laugh and have a good time, like have a good time, adventure in a little rented RAV4 through these, it feels like so different, like the streets there and stuff, and driving on the other side of the road. And it's just so vibrant, it's just like so much life in those experiences. Not that you need to go to another, country or an island to have those experiences, but I feel great, I feel great. I feel harmonized. I feel reset. I know that I have a lot of lady viewers. And, just to share with you too, like I'm coming fresh off my cycle, like my cycle just ended. So like I got my period like at the airport on the way home, and, it's, had to deal with that, and that's fine. That's great. Perfect timing, and now I'm off of that. So I'm feeling like all of the cycles are just like, whoo, like aligned. All right, let's get into the reading here, or the stuff. So happy birthday, belated Aries. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't get you your reading in time, but we're doing a hindsight reading here. We're doing a reflective reading, and I just want you to know, Aries, how much I love you, and I hope you don't take it personally that I was late with your reading, with your session. I love Aries energy. I have an Aries moon in the 8th house of Scorpio, so I like to give a prompt, even though I know we're not in Aries season right now. But if you're like, which I'm certainly still learning my chart. Like, I'm still using my chart as a tool for self-reflection and to understand myself more. Like, that's, I guess, why I like astrology. I'm not going to know everything in every aspect, and there's always these transits and these different things, and there's, you know, this type of chart and that type of chart. Like, there's, you know, tropical and sidereal, and like all this different, right? Like, there's so many ways we can look at and interpret, and no matter, like, depending on what time you are in your life, like, things are going to be like very meaningful to you. Maybe there's other times where you're not interested in it, but regardless, I see the chart, your personal chart, as a tool for self-reflection, for inviting ourselves to like look inside and see, okay, like, this is what I'm reading here. This is what I'm learning about where I have Aries in my chart, let's say. Does that resonate with me? Does that feel true to me? And if so, like, what can I learn from that? Or does that highlight anything? Does it call me out a little bit, right? So I think through every zodiac season, it's helpful to reflect on the elements of that season. So, you know, where do you have Aries? Where do you have Mars? What's in your first house? And just like using those as like little prompts, I think just like makes things a little more bite-sized. You know, it's still big subjects, big topics. You go real nerdy on any one of those things. But what I mean is it like gives you something to look at, you know, like something to look at in your chart so you can start to understand more. And it's like, again, just like a journaling prompt or something else. Like, oh, it's Aries season. Time to, you know, reflect on these things. Maybe the way you're looking at it one year to like the next year as well might be different. You might have like learned some different stuff. It might talk to you. You know how they say like certain books, or maybe all books, maybe everything in this world, but for example, I've heard the Emerald Tablets, right? This like Thoth book is written in dimensions. So no matter when you read it, you're gonna like get something different out of it, or it's gonna like talk to you in a different way. But I think that can be the same for everything, right? Because we're evolving, we're changing. So no matter how much you think you know about your, I don't know, like Mars in, my Mars is in Libra, right? Like your Mars in Libra, it's still perhaps beneficial to look at it again and reflect on it again, because it might bring some more stuff to the surface for us to reflect on for ourselves. And self-reflection and knowing yourself is really like a key tool in like evolution, I personally believe, right? So we have Aries season. I believe it runs from March, I want to say 19th to April 20th, something like that, or around those time frames. Of course, you could check your calendar. And of course, if you're watching this live, like, it's already passed and we're in Taurus season right now. So I do apologize for that. But I think all of us feel, you know, of course, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we all feel that shift from Pisces and this end season, this closing season that's very dreamy and very sleepy and very mystical and very mysterious, to this Aries season, which is very fiery, very catalytic, very cardinal. It sets it off. How could I say that better? This just real like forceful, vibrant, creative, very self-focused as well, as in like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to experience this, I want to experience that, like very much about you and yourself and your needs and your ideas and how you feel about things. It's very rejuvenating, you know? It's we could almost compare like Pisces to like an ego death. And then the Aries season of like waking up again, you know, like being reborn again. And I really do, and I hate to sound cheesy, but like after that trip I took, it was just so perfect. Like I really do feel reborn. Like I really do. I feel very revitalized, refreshed, and, you know, excited to in any way like spread a little bit of that, you know, because it's just so lovely. So The tarot that we're going to be using today, we have this Trust Your Vibes deck. I've just been really loving this deck. We're going to use the traditional tarot, and then I'm going to use the Tarot de Fuego for like clarity and stuff. So the first reading I'm going to do is for YouTube, is for the public, is for everybody. And the stone that I picked sort of to represent this reading is this gorgeous, can we get like a thumbnail photo because I'm so bad at those? Ooh. This gorgeous aura treated crystal cactus. It's so pretty. And yeah, I started getting my nails done because I wanted to tap on things. And I just think they look a lot cleaner. I really do try to keep my nails clean though. But, you know, at the same time. So we have this primary point, you could say, and all these little terminations, all these little stones around, and it just felt right for this season. I might have used that again recently, but I just saw it and I went to get something else and I just kept going back to it. Right, so I think that's all that I had to share. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for your patience. Aries, I know you're not known to be the most patient sign. Just kidding, you know, but like, thank you. And, you know, I'm talking about myself here because your moon is pretty important, I would say. So we're getting our readings. Now, what I'm focusing on for the oracle cards is for now. It's for now. Like, what is some suggestion for right now? But as we get into the challenge spread and the blessings spread, or the, you know, the challenge and then like the more positive aspects, I want to be more reflective there. But this that I'm working with right now is about now, some practical advice for right now. And we have accept the gifts from the universe, the gifts of the universe, and we have learn. And as always, I'm going to read you right from the book here because I think that there's something special about what authors put into their books, especially when it comes to oracle cards. All right. Are you limiting yourself and what the universe is trying to bring you? The universe will bring you all that you desire, but you must be able to accept what it brings you. Many of us limit what we can receive because we feel unworthy, or we think that to receive so much would be selfish. Neither is true in the eyes of the universe, which will bring you as much as you allow. It is infinitely abundant, so receiving what you want is in no way limits others. One way to dispel these beliefs is to contemplate what you think might happen if you did realize your dreams. Do you uncover any anxieties or fears? Do you worry that you're asking too much? Do you imagine your wish, if fulfilled, might cause another injury or pain? Does bringing change into your life make you nervous? If you uncover any beliefs that are contrary or in conflict with your dreams, are you willing to trade them for more supportive ones? The question the universe asks is, how good can you stand it? Because that's as good as it gets. Ooh. Ooh, okay. How good can we stand it? And number 19, learn. Right now, you don't possess all the soul skills you need to resolve your life challenges. It's time to learn more in order to find answers and move to a higher vibration of personal space. Thankfully, you're being contacted by a very important range of personal guides called spirit teachers. Whose primary purpose is to inspire you to learn. They will also direct you to teachers and classrooms that will help you fulfill your soul's ambitions. Listen for your spirit teachers today. As they work, relevant information will be placed in front of you in the form of brochures, announcements, or invitations to new classrooms and teachers on the earth plane. Your spirit teachers may also work through messengers who spontaneously make recommendations for learning, sometimes for no apparent reason. Your role is to be an open-minded student. Our entire earthly experience is designed to be a classroom for the soul. Ask yourself, what have I learned today? What am I called to learn next? And am I willing to learn? Then listen for your spirit teachers to help you answer these questions. They'll guide you when you're ready. Ooh, I like both of these. I think that this one just speaks to me so much personally. I think it's something that I am learning. I can relate to learning, how to not only quiet my own inner voice that sometimes is in some form of disbelief or feeling guilty for what we have, feeling guilty for what we have when others have so much less, or feeling shame for wanting to have more. And when I say have more, I don't just mean material things, although, that's part of it, right? Have more as in like more love in your life, take more trips, have more freedom, have more time for yourself, whatever the case may be. So I think that that's something that will definitely include, that is something we will definitely include in our session. I think that that's a big one for some reason. So I'm so glad that that was literally like the first message of our reading. How good can you stand it? Like, I love those words. While I think that these can perfectly, like, they do go well together, they're not in any form of contrast. I don't see like a huge connection here potentially, as in like, taking classes and accepting the gifts of the universe. However, I think, as I said myself, I'm learning this, learning to navigate your own inner doubt or shame or judgment that you have on yourself. Like, where does this come from? Is this some sort of core feeling? Is this from childhood? Is this from like, let's say society or whatever, like the outside world, kind of all the voices, all the chatter, all the this and that. You can literally find and prove anything you want based off of like what you're looking for, right? So there's a lot of push and pull. There's a lot of, yes, girl, like get paid, and oh, you shouldn't have that because like you're inconveniencing me too much by, you have a sponsor in your video or something. Sorry, I'm just kind of making a joke there, but like as an example, right? So yeah. At the same time, though, I don't want to disregard this message. If you're feeling called to become more familiar with a certain skill, topic, subject, practice, being open to that in general, I've noticed really does align you with the teacher or with the book or with the lesson or with the conversation. Personally, I love to share anecdotally from my personal experience, but I felt called to Reiki well before I found my teacher. I just really wanted to learn it. I had received a Reiki session when I was pretty young, like a little Reiki session, like at a kind of like a fair, like a little town fair, and there was some energy work being done. And it was my first experience with it. And I felt like I was floating. It was just like sitting, holding some crystals in my hands, my feet on some rocks. My aunt wasn't nearby. I could like hear voices, the noise of the fair and stuff. And this woman was like doing this little session for me. And I felt like I was floating, like I just had the most really interesting, I don't want to call it beautiful, but like really interesting experience. And it really stuck with me. And I very much leaned highly like spiritual as a kid. Anyway, sorry, I won't get into too much detail, but the point is I had a feeling I wanted to do something like that, but I didn't really know like how I would go about it. Years later, I like looked for a teacher, couldn't really find one that I resonated with. And then years after that, I felt more open. I felt more committed. I felt more like ready, if I could put it that way. And found my teacher immediately, went to her studio, had my first Reiki class, I love my teacher so much. I was very lucky that I was in a general location with my teacher. I was able to take my classes in person, and it truly changed my life. Like now I'm creating these sessions online. I get to teach people. It's just like absolutely amazing, right? So if you have that feeling inside of you to learn something, you know, and it comes from a genuine, like interest or passion or curiosity or inkling, you know, that like maybe I would be good at this, or maybe that I would learn more, maybe I would develop something here, or maybe this would be like a kind of little piece of the pie in terms of like all my skills to round out this or that. I can't tell you enough to like go for it. Like go for it, go for it, go for it. You never know. Like it's usually an investment, right? Like paying for my Reiki classes was an investment. But, you know, if I'm looking for a return, not only did it return however many fold, because look, here I am, like been doing this like nearly a decade now, and like, you know, there's going to be a return. But also, even if that was not the case, I know how to like manage myself so much better. Like I have become, forgive me, I don't mean to step on a soapbox here or put myself on any form of pedestal, but I just know who I've been and my journey and my challenges and all of that, right? We know ourselves best. And I can see how much of a better person I am from the support, or with the support of learning this practice that I felt called to learn, you know? So, sorry, tangent there, big time, but you never know. So if you have a desire to learn Photoshop or video editing or gardening or cooking this or that, like you never know where it's going to take you. And I will say too, and I don't know why this is coming up, so please forgive me. I don't mean to make this materialistic, but there's something here, a message that I just feel like I want to share. And it's regarding that investment. You know, I'm not saying you should, you know, go broke for something. I'm not saying you should overspend beyond like your means, right? But I think that people sometimes, when it's like an investment for themselves, they don't always see it that way right away, right? Or it's too easy, but then we'll go spend like money on like, you know, ordering DoorDash or, you know, going to the movies or like whatever, which is great too. Like I need to do that stuff sometimes too, right? Of course, we all do, you know, if that's your lifestyle. But what I'm trying to say is the time investment of learning something and the monetary investment, when it's something that you genuinely feel called to in some capacity, some curiosity, you know, I don't want to make promises, right? But I really feel like you get your investment back 10, 20, 100-fold, because it's something that you utilize. It's something that, you know, you can build off of and work with. And I don't know, I guess I'm just trying to encourage us all, myself included here, to perhaps, I don't say prioritize, I don't love that word here, but prioritize the self-investment, you know, and what you feel called to do. All right. Okay, so at this point, we're going to focus on the recent challenges or the recent healing. Like what has been unearthed? What has been the recent challenge? I'm going to call it, for, you know, maybe if you're watching this more live, like Aries season, but these are timeless. And if you've stumbled across this and it's just resonating and you're enjoying like being here a little bit, I really feel like there's a message here for you in some way, you know. My intention, of course, is to serve as a conduit, as a translator of these cards, knowing a bit about their meaning and interpreting the images as well from the cards, and just also going off my own intuition, which I want to say as well, if I may, and I'm so sorry, I am kind of personally sharing a little too much, or more than probably more than I normally do. But I've been doing my, I've been offering my one-to-one Reiki sessions, and I sold out of them, and I'm going to raise my prices. So, you know, thank you if you've purchased one. We've been able to work together. I have, I think, 4 more sessions with people left of this batch. I just had one yesterday. It was so nice. And I just want to say that for the people that I have heard back from, because like, So when I do my Reiki sessions, we schedule the time. I'm in there for at least an hour, like in the session, taking notes, doing an energy reading, working through the aura, the meridians, the energy points, and then specifically focusing more on the individual's intentions and a little more, let's see what comes up towards the end of the sessions. And then from there, typically people have been requesting like an audio file. So I'm creating like an hour, sometimes hour and a half long audio file and like delivering it to people to give them my perspective of the session and just like what images came through, what like messages at all or anything for us to both interpret, not just me, but for, the individual. And people don't have to reply to me. They can just take it and go. That's perfectly fine. But I am lucky that like people do reply, and I've gotten such amazing like validations, confirmations on what I've seen. Like I see things and people are like, oh my gosh, like, yes, I do that. No one knows I do that. Or yeah, I have a tattoo right there where you of that where you said I did. Or where you saw that. Yeah, I have a tattoo of that right there. Or even like physical, like health ailments, like picking up exactly where they are. So it's just been so amazing to get back into that on that one-to-one level. I do feel that a little when I'm doing my remote sessions that are more public, but it's not so tuned in. Like I don't get as many messages because it's for a group of people, not just one person. So where I was going with that is that was something that I had to learn. I had to learn to trust. I had to learn to get these images, to be confident enough to share these images with people, to interpret them for myself, to be able to determine what is mine and what is, someone else's language, so to speak, of how these messages come through. It's still a process. It's still, an art, I guess you could say, like unfolding, like something that continues to develop. But after doing it for nearly a decade, I'm still blown away by it every single time. Like, it's amazing. So just thank you so much for letting me work with you. Oh my gosh. I treasure those experiences, truly. All right, so we're focusing on our challenge, our recent challenge. So what's happened in the last, let's say, 4 weeks or so? What's happened in the last moon cycle? What's been going on in the last sort of phase, the most recent phase? What are we recovering from? What were we processing? What was revealed to us, right? And of course, this is general, so you might have to hear with your heart or read between the lines a little bit. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. And how you can tell if it's for you or not is if you feel empowered by it. And I don't mean empowered as in it's a good message, as in, oh, you're going to win the lottery. I mean empowered by it as in, does it make you feel seen? Does it make you feel heard? Does it make you feel connected? Does it make you feel in a good way called out? Because we can even get a bad message, as in, oh, I see you're recovering from a heartache, right? Like, that's not something anyone wants to go through. But it can be empowering in the message, like that you have yourself, you've gotten yourself through this. Disempowering would be, oh, you went through heartache and it's going to happen again, and you should protect yourself and buy this thing or do this or make sure you never do this ever again type stuff, right? That's disempowering. All right, so we've got one card so far. Letting We've got the Seven of Pentacles reversed. We've got the Hermit reversed. We've got the Emperor straight up. Like 2 more cards, please. One, two. Oh wait, is that 3? That's cool. 3 works. Interesting. I feel like there's something similar going on than the month prior. That's fine. 6 cards works. Okay, so just to show you, we've got the 7 of Pentacles reversed, the Hermit reversed, the Emperor, the Page of Wands, reversed, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Empress. So what has been unearthed last month? What were we dealing with? I'm saying last month, but like within the last month or so. I feel like there's been a theme of feeling like the work that you put in was not, you did not reap what you sowed, sort of thing. You can see this picture, like looking at the crops, looking at the harvest, being like, ooh, last year was better, or ooh, really thought I'd have more. Like, what am I going to do with this? So there's maybe a feeling of lack that you were dealing with. Maybe a feeling of like, how am I going to recover from this? Or what changes do I need to make to turn this around? Because if things keep going this way, like this is going to be unsustainable, whether it's your job, whether it's your passion project, whether it's your time management, something physical, something material, something quote unquote like limited or that has boundaries. I believe that, like, you know, I'm spiritual. I do believe that money is infinite, right? Like it's like an illusion. It's not exactly a limited thing. Like it used to be kind of when it was gold maybe, or this or that, but it's more elusive now. And value is also like just as beauty is, like in the eye of the beholder and things like that. So I'm not trying to say, you know, like, oh, there's only so much money, so you're worried about, but at the end of the day, in the real reality of things, there's money in your bank and there's bills you have to pay. Like there's something that you're going to feel limited by. There's like there is a boundary on it, right? There is something that you have to work with. Like there's a dense level to, let's say, like our money, our income. For example, if you're a content creator or if you're on YouTube, I don't know about you, February is usually like the slowest month. So if you're looking at your February money in, you're going to be like, oh my God, like what happened? You know, like what can I do to fix this? Like I need to rev my engine here, or I need to do this differently. I need to work smarter, not harder. There seems to be an issue as well, or there was an issue with like time spent by yourself. Either you weren't really getting enough time for yourself to reflect, to heal, to process, to understand yourself, to really like be guided by your own inner truth, inner light, inner soul, fire, flame. Instead, you might have felt sort of like, forgive the term here, but like manipulated by the outside, or like influenced rather, like by the outside world, like by, you know, your household needing you, or things that you had to get done, and you're just kind of like, you know, influenced by, instead of like your own guiding force, like having to follow someone else's schedule, or even not so precise, but just you know, looking for the answers externally versus within. There seems to be like it's been a hard time finding your own inner truth and like going off of that. And from there, having the confidence to create. There's a challenge potentially with that, with your trust in yourself, with your trust in your, you know, Aries energy, your catalytic energy. You're like, let's get this rocket off, lifted into the air energy. Page of Wands reverse. There's just this feeling of just not knowing what's right for you, or how do I use this energy? How do I use my personal energy? How do I create? What do I create? Which direction do I create in? Like, I'm afraid to fail. I'm afraid to lose it all. I'm afraid to waste my time. I'm afraid to spin that wheel and have it land on something that, like, you know, it might not be what I want. I also feel like there might have been some challenges, particularly connecting to, you know, your beauty, your creativity, your art, your sense of, I'm going to say the word entitlement. I know that that's like not a great word, but I mean that in like the highest regard, like your entitlement for rest, your entitlement to be your best self, like to care for yourself, to nurture yourself, for self-care. I feel like there's been some sort of like obvious lack in some way, like coming up a little bit short or feeling like you would have had a little more than you did. And it kind of rocked your inner sense of like how you perceive yourself, like your identity, your sense of self. And you're kind of becoming even more uncomfortable now with like the idea of risk, because you know you need to change something. You feel very called to change something because quote unquote like this isn't working, or this month was bad, or there's just something that didn't give you the results that you wanted or needed it to. And you realize you have to shift some stuff up, but it's also like, oh, like that's scary too, right? Like to make that change. And what if I try this and that still doesn't work? Like, what am I going to do, right? So it just feels like an issue of confidence, an issue of like knowing yourself, trusting yourself, letting yourself guide your path, right? We're going to get some clarity on these cards as well. I should have opened these ahead of time. I don't want to break the box. I'm a big box breaker. I'm always ripping things open the wrong way. There we go. Okay. Like I get a package in the mail and I just rip it open. And then I rip the cardboard. I don't even rip the tape. All right. So we're asking for some clarity here. Maybe a little more descript on what's happened and also like how we're processing that. This isn't really the suggestion part of the reading, right? But like, can we clarify this more? I feel pretty clear on it, but I just want to see if anything comes up. Okay. We've got the King of Cups, the Three of Pentacles reversed. Looking for 3 more cards. Oh, that's 3 more cards. Don't you love when you ask for what and you get it? Now these cards are so fun. So let me just show you the images. King of Cups. Is it focused? Three of Pentacles. This is reversed, but just want you to be able to see. The Star, also reversed. Six of Swords. And Four of Cups reversed. All right, so in relation to this issue of lack or not producing what you thought it would produce, and then it kind of, I don't want to say it dims your own inner light, but we start to feel like we can't trust ourselves. We start to feel like I'm doing something wrong. Let me research how they do it. Let me research how they do it. Let me read it. Like you start like going outside of yourself, which like, of course, at times there's an element of that that's always healthy, you know, but when we're rocked in our confidence, and you know, I call it like the soft shell crab phase, like when you're not feeling confident, when you're doubting yourself, to go and do that, it just, we start to lose like, well, who am I? Like, how do I do things? Like, what feels right to me? What feels aligned to me? And that's why that risky feeling comes in, because it isn't exactly aligned. It isn't exactly from you. So it feels off, you know, you feel like you don't want to place a bet on it because it feels off to you, but you're also feeling maybe like a little sort of desperate, sort of, you know, like, well, I gotta try something different sort of thing, you know. So having the King of Cups here is kind of interesting to me. I'm trying to just get a vibe for it. Like, again, the image is so unique. I feel like there was an element here of just, I know it's cups, but of not really being able to like take that time for yourself to heal. Like in this picture, it's like this skeleton with the crown, like under the earth, right? Like retreating, let me fall apart in private. I'm a Cancer, right? So like that's definitely what I do. Like let me put my shell on, let me go cry in the bathroom or whatever I have to do. Don't look at me. Like I want to process this in private, you know, and I feel like King of Cups energy sort of has that. I feel like you didn't have the time, maybe didn't take the time, maybe you couldn't take the time to like fall apart in private and let yourself just feel the feels, you know, like when you can process it and move from there, things change, seasons change, perspectives change, and it can happen in a day. You know, it doesn't have to be this like, we need all this time. Although, you know, we could need more time and that's okay too. I'm not trying to put pressure that this should happen in a day. But when I fall apart, it's usually within a day, you know, like at this point anyway. Again, I've been very lucky to like understand my depression, how it happens and the spiral, and I can kind of work with it. So I feel very blessed to, you know, have some skills for myself there. But in the past, I could fall apart for months, you know, so no judgment. I don't mean it to, you know, put a time limit here. Regardless, like, it's almost like you didn't have time to fully feel the feels, you know, and make sense of the feels. It went right to, I'm so sorry for this word. It went right to feeling like desperately needing help or desperately like needing guidance or like to change something. Even the Three of Pentacles here, right? Look, there's this image of like cutting off the mind, right? The ego, the self, the awareness with a fist with a treasure chest on it, you know, for these 3 measly coins, right? Like there's a, it just confirms to me more of some sort of outside source, because you didn't take time to really, or you couldn't take time, you know, I'm not trying to say you didn't take time. Whatever happened, the time wasn't there to let your emotions process, that you started looking outside of how to fix this versus going off your own inner light. And it just made you feel like more disconnected, more ostracized, more on the outer, you know, fringe, or on the lower class, or I don't know how, you know, I'm just trying to think of like lack words here. So forgive me, I'm not trying to diss anyone on any class. Like I don't even, you get it, right? It's a touchy subject. But it just made you feel like even more like disconnected from like your soul, your ego, your sense of self, and like what you truly want to build, what your legacy is. It's also very diminishing of your individuality, of your perfection, of your creativity, of your abilities, of your natural and unique components of what you do, how you do it, how you offer it, how you create it, where it comes from, what's the meaning, what's the vibe. It's been disconnected. It's not currently disconnected. I'm not trying to imply that. I just mean like it feels like it was disconnected and recently. The Six of Swords also says to me, especially this image, you know, walking on swords, I know looks really scary, right? I mean, I probably wouldn't do it. But here it's more about sort of like trusting yourself, finding like harmony in your thoughts, letting your thoughts like support you, you know, and even the painful thoughts. And I think that that might be an element here of, you know, admitting some things to yourself, admitting some things about like how you feel about certain things, or how you feel when you're feeling desperate, or how you feel when you look at your bank account and the money that came in last month, for example, or the time that you had, or the amount of, it doesn't have to be money. So it's just like the easiest way to talk about this, but it could be something else, like something that you have a quantification of, like something you can judge whether it's high or low, you know, and you're feeling like it's not where you wanted it to be. Like, what does that mean to you? What does it mean when you feel desperate? What does it mean when, like, how do I process that? How do I trust myself? It's all just kind of like going back to your thoughts and letting yourself have the time to to learn yourself through them, and also learn what thoughts hurt you. Humans have a ability to, like, the thoughts usually lead to a thought that is very similar to the thought you were just thinking. So if you're thinking thoughts of like lack and desperation and need, the thoughts that come next are aligned to that. It's like a tree or a vine or a ladder aligned to that. But when you're thinking from a point of view of, you know, open to trying something different, or, you know, this is great, this is a lesson, this is a way I can sort of, you know, step out of the box maybe, or maybe this is a test to my commitment for this project. And, you know, I am going to have highs and lows. I am going to have things that do really well and things that don't. And that's okay. So let me like learn, how am I going to navigate that? I feel like that sort of like self-reflection on this feeling, on what this caused you to feel, would be really beneficial, so that you can kind of spin the wheel again, you know, roll the dice, do it, get up on the horse again, whatever you want to say, however you want to put it, and move on. But you got to really like understand your thought process and understand that some of the thoughts that you have will lead you to pain, and some of the thoughts you have will lead you to fulfillment or pleasure, right? And finally, we have the Four of Cups reversed here. I don't want to say this like feeling has jeopardized your household at all, but I think that there's an element of like, it makes you feel very concerned about your foundations, you know, concerned not just about like your financial foundations or, you know, your family and stuff. It also makes you feel concerned about, again, like who you are as a person and what you're going to do to, you know, rectify this, you know, within yourself. Because your, you know, low haul, let's say, or your like lower month, or your, looking at something where you're like, it's not where I want it to be, from another person's eyes, you know, and they might be like, oh my gosh, I can't even dream about getting there. Like, oh my gosh. Or, you know, I've been on YouTube for a while now. It's interesting, right? Like I have over 200,000 subscribers. And for someone who has, you know, 2 subscribers, that's like, oh my gosh, you have 200,000. And then for someone who has, you know, millions, it's like, oh, like, yeah, I guess you're kind of doing it. And then for me, the creator who's been at this number for a while, it's like, yeah, I love this. This is amazing. I'm so grateful for it. I actually, honestly, just try not to think about it too much. But there's moments that I have where I'm like, man, thought I'd have a little more by now. I mean, it's been like, it's been like 9 years. What the heck am I talking about, right? 200,000, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. What the heck, right? Or, you know, looking at the views or something, like you can look at it from a perspective of like, oh, that video only got 20,000 views. Like, are you kidding? That's for YouTube? That's still really good. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's all about perspective. And I think that you're learning to like view and process and think about these things from like a different perspective. And you're also seeing how that affects not just like your relationships, your fulfillment, your home, you know, your stability, but also like the stability of you, so that you can navigate your life and go through your life, without feeling like something's missing, without feeling like you'll never be satisfied. You know, without feeling like you never put in enough, you never did enough, it's never enough. Because in a way, like, it is never enough, right? As in, I hope you always have a new idea. I hope you're always hungry for the next meal. You know, I hope you're always, you know, having something to be inspired by. But, you know, I mean that in a good way, as in, like, that moves us through life, that puts us in different positions, that keeps us moving, you know, it keeps us moving and keeps us learning, versus like stagnancy and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's all perspective. All right. We've come to terms with our challenge of the last 4 weeks, last month, whatever time of your life, Aries season, if you want to look at it that way. Here we are looking at, what are the blessings? What is good? What has come from this? The gist of what we got rocked, and we started to worry if we would never be satisfied ultimately, you know? Would it ever be enough? Would we ever be good enough? And we started looking outside of ourselves. So what's the blessing? What's the good? What's the gold? What's the alchemy here? We've got the Ace of Swords reversed. We've got Judgment. We've got the Chariot. We've got the King of Swords reversed. I think I'm asking for 2 more cards, but just right off the bat, I think a blessing has been that you are learning to judge your own thoughts. Judge your own ideas. Knight of Pentacles. Like 1 more, please. Oh, there we go. Thank you. And Queen of Pentacles reversed. You are being more discerning of your own thoughts, of your ideas. Where do these ideas come from? Does this come from desperation? Does this come from lack? Does this come from a negative place? Or does this come from fun? Does this come from rejuvenation? Does this come from an intrigue and excitement? Does this feel natural? Is this my own thought? Has this been put into my head that I need to do these things, that I have to, you know, put myself out there on social media, that I have to do all that? Or is that aligned to me, to my morals? Is that aligned to who I am, who I have become? Is it in harmony for me as I move forward? Is this embody all of me, my depths, my non-duality, my I am shadow, I am light? I'm talking to you. I am. I love that. It's come up in a session recently. Your power, right? Your power is also in when you feel lack, because it's part of it, right? It's part of it. You are highs, you are lows, you are all of it. King of Swords reversed. Again, I think you're discerning of your thoughts and you're judging them. You know, we have Ace of Swords reversed. We have Judgment. We have the Chariot. We have King of Swords reversed. This energy of really minding the thoughts that come in, the ideas, the impulses. Where are these coming from? I shouldn't say impulses necessarily, like inklings or ideas. Do they come from a place of alignment? Do they come from a place of calling? Or does it come from a place of desperation? Does it come from a place of insecurity? Does it come from a place of leaning too far into one side of yourself? You know, like too far into the masculine, too far into the feminine, too far into the shadow, too far into the light. There's a real fresh perspective, a real, again, like reborn energy here of an awareness. So even while you struggled with, like, what can I do? Like looking outside of yourself, at the same time, there's an awareness that is confirmed to you on who you are and your full power and what is right for you. And I think that you've made some sort of peace with time. I think you've made some sort of peace with divine timing. Some things happen slow. Some things are slow to grow. Some things come when they're ready, come when I'm ready. How much can you stand? Because that's what the universe is willing to give you. And I think that ultimately, like, the continual lesson here, beyond of course still being discerning of your thoughts, your ideas, and how far you take them, how far you entertain them, there's also this like nurturing sort of, this always reminds me of a nest egg, this image specifically, the queen with the coin on her lap. This is in reverse, so I feel like this is more of like what's going on within, you know, like within you. Caring to your investment, your time, your energy, your money, right? All your skill, caring to your investment in yourself. Maybe there's something you want to learn, right? Appreciating what you have, appreciating how far you've come, appreciating the skills you've developed, the free time you've created for yourself. We know how hard that is, right? So in the end, like, of this most recent time frame, I think you've made a lot of peace. Even with all that going on, even with those real questioning of yourself, questioning of your capacity, questioning of your identity, in a sense, like tied to your, God. It's hard not to, to tie ourselves to how much money we have, or how valuable we're seen by the world, or how pretty we are, or how young we are, or how much wisdom we have, or how much we're willing to give. It's hard to draw that boundary, to say, like, you don't get to tell me what I'm worth, actually, or you don't get to, my bank account, my time, my this or that. You know what I'll judge myself on? I'll judge myself on maybe how good of a parent I can be, how good of a partner, how good of a friend, how good of a support. That means something to me. I mean, I'm talking for myself here. You might have different ones, right? That's what it means to me. How strong am I? How resilient, where I can get up again and try again. All right, so we're looking for 5 clarity cards. 9 of Swords. Yes, there's been this surrender to thought. This this sort of like protection. Look how cool. Okay, so there's this like almost like sandworm looking guy here. The hedgehog, the spikes, and then underneath the bone, the skull, but there's an opening here with the treasure. Protecting the treasure. Protecting, like, what is your treasure, right? Like, is that your integrity? Is that your alignment? Is that your inner peace? Is that your money? Is that your finances? Is that your legacy? Is that your family? Is that your loved ones? And, we could call this, I don't know, let's call this like a demon, right? No shade to demons, not what I'm trying to say. But let's just call this negativity. Let's call this consumption. Let's call this mindlessness. Let's call this fear. We can use our thoughts to defend what's true to us, what's right to us, even as we're burning, or it feels like we're burning. And utilize them. It's so interesting. That's not a typical like reading that I would get from a 9 of Swords, but I'm going off the image. And this goes back to thought. This goes back to mindfulness of your thoughts, what you're entertaining. Are they empowering? Are they disempowering? Are you creating based off disempowering thoughts, or are you creating based off empowering thoughts? Feel into it, feel down the line here. Okay, get some more clarity. Is that exactly what I asked for? Almost. 1 extra. Oh, 2 extra. Well, we'll just have to do that, huh? A little extra clarity cards, but that's okay. All right, 7 of Swords. Reversed. This is very swordy. At least what we've seen so far. Again, this lion, right? This lion, the integrity of the lion. Lion, loyalty, family, legacy, pride. And I mean that in a good way. Pride. Casting out the thoughts. Casting away the sharpness, the, let's call them negative thoughts, the desperate thoughts, the thoughts that were inspired by desperation. Just gotta change my battery real quick. Okay, there we go. All right, so yeah, loyalty, truth, personal power, your inner child, right? Your inner strength, casting out, discerning, blocking, having boundaries. King of Pentacles reversed. Seven of Cups. The Chariot reversed. So another Chariot. Let me show you the cards. I just want to show you them because they are very cool cards. Knight of Swords. And Seven of Pentacles. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so in relation to this, like, sort of like, I don't say revitalized, but like reaffirmed. Like, no, I don't want that. No, I don't want to build off of lack or off of disempowerment. No, I don't want to do it the way that someone else does it, or I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to compromise on what I feel is my personal truth, my personal boundaries, my legacy. I'm going to create from my truth. And I have options, right? Seven of Cups. I have options. It's not always easy to discern, but it's your discernment. It's your choice. It's your kingdom here, right? Chariot reversed. It's your personal energy that you're gathering, that you're sifting through, that your likes, your dislikes, your what you want, like, truly in your life versus what would be I don't want to say difficult, because difficulty is not necessarily a bad thing, but like what would be like against your truth, what would be out of alignment for you. Silly example, but like people always would tell me like that I need to be on TikTok, and I'm just like, it's just not a place for me. Like, it's just not. Like, I don't enjoy short form content personally. I don't want to create short form content. I like to talk a lot. I like to get my stuff out there. And as much as I, you know, respect it, I'm like, that's just not for me. Like, it's just not for me. Like, I'm not going to put my energy into that because it just doesn't feel right. It might be true that I could be more successful, but it's also just not for me. Like, it's just not. And like, let me respect that in myself. When it comes to this, like, peace I feel like you've made with time, with things taking their time, there's an interesting and benevolent paradox here that says, like, when we make peace with time, it's when everything flows so much faster. When you stop waiting for something, it shows up. You can't find something that's lost. You find it when you find it, right? But it's not when it's lost. How do I put that better? It goes back to the, you know, watching the pot boil kind of thing, right? When you're putting all this pressure on yourself, when you're worried about this timeline, there's restriction, there's contraction, there's a disruption in the natural flow. Even observing it, it sounds so stupid. Even observing it though, like, makes it go slower, halts it, stops it, constricts it. While when you have made peace, as you have with time, and I know every day is different, right? And there's days we feel better or worse about certain things, but ultimately and overall, when you've made peace with time, it's when things fly to you. Quick, right? Like, quick moving. It comes to you when you stop watching it, when you stop hyper-analyzing it, when you stop putting pressure on it so much. And when it comes to the Queen of Pentacles and you're working on your nest egg and you're caring to your skills and you're caring to your time and your emotional connection as well to all that you're building and the reason you're building it or the reason you're putting the energy in, the emotional connection, the reason behind it. You also are able to discern, like, what is tempting you but ultimately hurts you? Or what is, you know, declared or presented to you as, you know, a quick fix or a quick money making, or, oh, passive income, I'm getting those in my algorithm. I'm guessing that you are too. And it's tempting, and it's comparison, and it's rushing, and it's, again, leading us back to that. But ultimately, like if you can see in this picture, there's this bird dropping coins, but look, the person is pulling them out over the fire. They've lost their wings. Would you rather fly or, have coins that weigh you down really here, right? Into the fire. It's a little harsh sounding, but what ultimately is, it's like a temptation, and at what cost? And I think that you're just really understanding all of this. You're really like processing this. It was big. It was something that really made you think to try something different, to try something new. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like ultimately it should come from you, your idea, not that we don't get inspiration from other sources, of course, but more so like it should feel natural. Should feel from you. It should like feed your soul, like feel good to your soul to do it, right? I'm sorry, I can't think of a better way to say that is less like elusive or so general, but there's an element of like temptation that I think you're just becoming very aware of. Like it's tempting to try to do it this way because people say it's quick, or it's tempting to do this, and but again, like at what cost? I'm trying to think of like an example. I almost hear like the word like internship or something when I'm thinking about this, like working for someone else, like if you're sorry, I keep talking about YouTube, but I guess that's just what I know, right? Like in YouTube, you get a lot of, especially as a small creator, a lot of people trying to like, oh, like join our thing. We'll manage your account. We'll get you way more subscribers. And then what ultimately happens is like people are gullible and they don't know any better, and they think something will help them. And then in the end, they're in this contract with something that's taking like 80% of their earnings, if they even are earning anything. And they have to wait to get out of these like terrible contracts. It's like this manipulation that feeds off of people wanting a quicker route, or someone to do the work for them, or some guidelines or some like plan for them. But really, like no one's offering that. It's more of this like illusion, and in the end it only hurts you and cuts you off from things. So okay. I'm going to talk to you just quickly about our little stone here. This is not so pretty. Maxwell from Monk and Moon gifted this to me a few years back, and it's just so pretty. I just loved this for the alchemical nature of the aura treated stones. So this is a natural piece, but it's been alchemically bonded with some sort of metal. I'm not exactly sure which one creates this color, this like sort of lavendery color. You can see the bottom has this very pretty iridescence. But I kind of wanted to bring in just like alchemy, like alchemy, and we as a collective need to be very aware of how influential we are as individuals. I'm sorry, how easily influenced we are as individuals, and how influential this like collective media can be. And whatever your algorithm is like programmed to is certainly like influencing us, in some way, leading you into one form of thought versus another, or we could find ourselves in these like echo chambers. So it's up to us. Hi. Shoko came in for a minute. I missed you. I love you. She likes kisses. Okay. Let you down. Sorry. Thank you. Sorry about that. Got my microphone back now. But in terms of alchemy and the collective, as in, you know, like everyone and online, I think online we're seeing this like more and more. There's so much like BS, like falseness out there. And, you know, whether it's entertaining, whether it's eye-opening, whether it's inspiring or harmful, it exists. You know, there's this real, very obvious now, especially with like AI and how much like images you see online of like AI. And, you know, I've been tricked by it a little bit. Like I've shown my husband, oh my God, look how cute this little animal is. And he's like, oh wait, that's AI. That doesn't exist. And I'm like, what? This little adorable frog in Scotland like does not exist. And now I think it just makes us like more aware, and obviously like you can't trust anything online and there's so much BS. However, you know, I think that there's also an opportunity for a ton of authenticity, and whether this is in online or just in your personal life and you're not really an online person, and that's okay too. I don't mean that it's only happening there. I just mean it's the stone and the alchemy of it reminds me of your alchemy in the environment. How you being true to yourself, whether that is publicly on a YouTube channel or privately in your personal life, it means something. And I think that there's a call for more truth, more authenticity, more realness. And I think that that's, you know, a big shift that maybe all of us are seeing in, you know, online and in our personal lives. And I'm just so glad for it, you know. So my encouragement to you, or my you know, prayer for you is just keep being authentic, you know, keep being authentically you and staying true to your passions. Return to your inner light for guidance, and, you know, do your research. Don't be afraid to look at analytics or get some ideas or inspiration, but ultimately do what's best for you, for what you feel, you know, proud of, for what you feel aligned to. And that is not with a judgment of there is good and there is bad, because we're all of it, right? It's more of just of what feels best to you, and, you know, watching our temptations and all of this stuff. So sending you so much love. I really hope that you enjoy. Hey girl. Hey girl. And I'll talk to you soon. I'll have our session up very shortly. And if you're in YouTube members or Patreon, why don't you go ahead and check out the next tarot reading if you enjoy it. I'd love to. I'm excited to create that for you right now. All right. See you later. Thank you. Bye.